Edmonton, Alberta, inside an empty arena. This is not the way we hope to see you on this December 29th, where there would have been 4 games scheduled on the 4th day of the World Juniors, but not to be. As we say hello, Canada, James Duthie and Bob McKenzie with you. The 2022 World Junior Hockey Championship has been canceled after 2 more positive tests today, one from a Russian player, one from a Czech player, and thus 2 more game forfeitures. The IIHF met and has canceled the tournament. Take us through the events of today that led to this decision.
Well, obviously, the IIHF and USA Hockey were still dealing with what went on with the Americans yesterday, having to forfeit a game and find out whether their game against Sweden was going to be played. But everybody was relatively optimistic. The Americans tested well overnight, and they were waiting for a test this afternoon that might have cleared most of their team to be in the game against Sweden. So that was a good bit of news to start off the day. But then came news that the Czech Republic had 1 positive test, and that 1 positive test would forfeit the Czech game against Finland. And even at that point, the International Ice Hockey Federation was prepared to soldier on and thought, okay, 2 so far, we can keep going through this. But when the Russian player tested positive and the Russian-Slovakia game had to be canceled and Russia had to forfeit it, at that point, the IIHF Council got together with its medical committee, and the medical committee, which consists of a lot of doctors and infectious disease experts, told the IIHF this is probably going to happen every day. And the positivity rate in this group is far lower than what it is for the public.
Right.
But if you get 1 test on 1 team on 1 day, then that team postpones and forfeits. And as you start running out of racetrack, getting to the January 2nd quarterfinal, there was just a feeling amongst the IIHF that they were fighting a losing battle, and the integrity of the competition, the safety factor for people involved, snowball it all together. And one other thing that I don't believe is being reported, it's my understanding that as many as 5 on-ice officials, referees and linesmen, have tested positive, and that there was also concern that between now and the end of the tournament, would there be enough on-ice officials to officiate the games? So put it all together in a big ball, and the common sense decision on the IIHF's part was, we can't make this happen.
So they believe they can't contain it because, again, some people will look at this and say that's only 4 positive tests. You have 25-man rosters. You could forge forward, even if there's 1 more positive test tomorrow or so on.
Here's the problem. It's the protocols. And so everybody kind of goes nuts when they hear the word protocol, because you've got one segment of society right now who looks at Omicron and says, it's nothing more than a cold. Don't even test. Just let the kids play. Away you go. And then you've got another segment of society who says it's ludicrous that these kids are even here playing, because everything should be locked down because we're in the 2nd wave of a pandemic. And obviously, the in-between position on that is you've got to come up with some protocols that make sense. Unfortunately, the whole Omicron thing has happened so rapidly that the protocols, you try to change the protocols to make them safer for the players, but making them safer for the players makes it near impossible to put on a game. So as a result, 1 person testing positive in a short period of time cancels that game or forfeits that game. That was true last year at the World Juniors. A lot of people don't realize that. They said, hey, what about Germany? They had like 8, 9 guys tested positive. They tested positive the week before the tournament began. All the same protocols were in place last year, but there was a firm bubble as opposed to this year. And then people say, well, why didn't you have a firm bubble this year? And that's a good question, and maybe the IIHF will address that. But the short answer is that the whole Omicron thing really took on a life of its own from December 1st on. There probably wasn't the time to be able to put a firm bubble in place like they had last year that took literally months and months and months to put into place. So it is what it is, sort of, but the protocols are what caused a strict enforcement of what the medical authorities believed was necessary for the protection of these kids and for the general society at large.
And we should say that there was no full bubble as there was last year, but most of the teams were acting in a virtual bubble as we were, where there were tests every day. It wasn't like people were, teams were going out to restaurants and so on and so forth.
No, but the players were in hotels that were open to the public.
Right, and that is a different situation.
You're getting into an elevator and you're with somebody who...
There is a statement that has been released by Luc Tardif, the president of the IIHF, and here is what it says. Together with the teams, we came into this event with full confidence in the COVID-19 protocols put in place by the IIHF. the LOC Alberta Health, Alberta Health Services, and the Public Health Agency of Canada. The ongoing spread of COVID-19 and the Omicron variant forced us to readjust our protocols almost immediately upon arrival to attempt to stay ahead of any potential spread. This included daily testing and the team quarantine requirement when positive tests were confirmed. He goes on to say, we owed it to the participating teams to do our best to create the conditions necessary for this event to work. Unfortunately, this was not enough. We now have to take some time and focus on getting all players and team staff back home safely. Now, the next question will be, there is a possibility, cancellation is the word they are using, but is there a chance that in a couple of months, 3 months, that they reschedule this and there is a 2022 World Juniors?
The IIHF policy is basically when they decide to cancel something, they cancel it. And we saw the furor that was created, and understandably so, when the Women's Under-18 World Championship was canceled, as opposed to the IIHF saying, oh, it's just postponed. We'll try and get it on later. So the host country for the Under-18 Women's World said, we can't put this on. We're not able to put this on. We're out. And the IIHF says, okay, in that case, it is canceled. Now, there was understandable backlash to that. And among the number of federations that said, well, we might be interested in doing that, was USA Hockey, amongst others. And the IIHF's position was, okay, fine, bring us a proposal, and we will look at that proposal. And if it makes sense and we can do it, then we will do it. And I would assume the exact same situation and policy of the IIHF is in place for that. They have canceled the 2022 World Junior Championship. Hockey Canada is effectively the rights holder for the 2022 as the host, and that it'll be up to Hockey Canada initially to say, we want to try to put this on later. We'll try and find a way to do this. But they haven't done that yet. I think right now, Hockey Canada's attitude is, let's just take a deep breath here. Their entire group is shell-shocked. The amount of work and effort it takes to put something like this on is literally months. And so they're like everybody else. They're just shell-shocked right now that all the work they've put in is gone. So they're going to take some time and see where they're at. And if there's a feasible way to do it, then they'll probably propose that to the IIHF. If there's not, then they won't. So right now, it's canceled.
And it's complicated to reschedule an event like this, to find a venue. There's junior leagues that have to go on, and college hockey and NHL going on in arenas like this one. And for folks in Alberta wondering if they'll get another one or whether the next one in Canada will be back here again, those decisions are still far off. Again, Hockey Canada still trying to digest everything.